Sepkasiam, Mistimo, Meetsap Puquilum, Tsleil-waututh, Squamish, Musqueam Tumoch. I just said good day. And on behalf of the Tsleil-waututh, the Musqueam, and Squamish peoples, we'd like to welcome you to our traditional territory. Natsaman, one heart, one mind, one spirit, paddling in a canoe together to create longevity for our generations.
This is also a fish skin. We use part of this. That's been tanned as well, and you'll be able to feel the difference.
Through the time of residential school and the Indian Act and colonization, it was taught that they needed to kill the Indian within us. They put us through a lot of dark times, but they did not kill the Indian in us. I'm going to share some stories with you, but I'm going to share it in a new way because we live in a new time.
Feel the sound all the way from the peak where I speak right down to where the water leaks. I flow from these here medicine creeks, fresh and cold, all the beauties I hold. Lose control at the same time, feel your soul. This is ancient, yo. These are ancient flows, geometric rows, math and science we got to know.
On behalf of the Association of United Ukrainian Canadians, welcome to our home. Щиро вас вітаємо, щастя вам бажаємо.
On behalf of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-waututh, the Tsleil-wautuch, the Squamish, the peoples that come over from far over the mountains to be here with us, we will open the floor to help a wonderful feast today.
And I want to offer a song from our culture to your people in thanks for this time.
To remain. I love this community because of its beauty. It sees beauty, value, in work, in those of us who have been deleted as human beings. I need this community where the Spirit is calling. I need this community because it gives me strength.
I think somebody made a mistake. They asked me to say a few words, but in Haida culture that means 1 hour. And so he immediately ran to the head of the line. I asked, what are you doing? He said, I'm going to be the leader. I said, but that's not where you start. You got to go to the end of the line. He said, why? I said, that's the most important place to be, because you have to look out for everybody ahead of you.
house is still part of us. The land is gone, the house is gone, but the big house still lives with us. The fish you're eating tonight came from my family. The fish, the recipes, everything has been passed down to us from that big house.
A really important quote that was said last night was, "Memory is the mother of community." We're building a strong community here, the community of the downtown East Side. And we get to share it with people from here, from Toronto, from Vancouver Island, from Alberta, and it's amazing.
I want you to know where you are. We come from 3 different villages, 3 different Coast Salish villages here in the Vancouver area. So all of you who live here, you reside within the boundaries of myself and my 2 nephews' villages. Music and dance is sustenance for our well-being, for all human beings around the world. Not so much wallowing. We're one heart, we're one mind. Go home now.
I grew up surrounded by the stories of dominant culture, surrounded by the mythologies of empty land, the mythologies of the city being made by the great white fathers, the origin story as being a very young city, and all of that. So it was through the generosity of Coast Salish people, it was through the radical mindset of my parents that I was able to learn and come to understand that, of course, there's a much deeper history here. There's many more stories. This is a many-storied land.
So my grandfather said we introduce ourselves so we know where things come from, not to separate us, but to try to find ways to link together.
Our peoples are still primarily oral societies, so protocol happens face-to-face in front of witnesses, in private ceremonies, public events, in our homes every day, in our relationships every day, over kitchen tables. It is not negotiated over email. Permission does not come in the form of official letterhead. Protocol is a living, breathing entity. It lives and breathes in us.
In this piece called Rainforest, I went to the Museum of Anthropology, absorbed images, ideas, concepts, was deeply inspired, and created a piece. In my understanding, I was bringing together my Western consciousness and this enormous mystery that was inspiring me. It was a hit. For quite a while, people came back 5 times. I was invited to do this piece at the Museum of Anthropology. Then I was uninvited. I was sent a letter by Mique'l Ames, the director, saying, "You are no longer invited to see this piece." My counsel primarily in the form of a elder, Doreen Jensen, has said this piece is utterly, utterly inappropriate. And I was at first just outraged. What do you mean? I mean, what do you mean? As the conversation went on between Doreen and Michael Ames and I, it took 3 years for us to develop the notion of how we could collaborate.
And I have to admit that when I first met her, I was thinking to myself, here we go again. You know, and I really wasn't interested. I really wasn't interested in sharing our stories at that point with the outside community, because my focus was on the children within the community and what we could do to help them. But Kathy was insistent, and she kept coming back, and because she kept coming back and she seemed to genuinely be interested in our stories and in the history of the area and of the tribe, I started to trust her. I began to establish a trust relationship with her. And that was the first step.
So later, when I got to know Rosalind Williams, after a time, I asked her, is it true, I read in the museum that when A.L. Fortune came here, there were no Indians here at all. And Rosalind said to me, I hope I get this correct, well, of course we were here. It's just we watched him for a very long time before we let ourselves be known.
And we also believe that new stories are emerging for our situation and time that are formed by culture and protocols and techniques that have existed on this continent for thousands of years, and those that have been brought from the four corners of the globe. And so I'm going to pass back on.
And so, in large part, for me, that's what this project, Dances of Resistance, was about taking art to as many places as we could. Knowing that art was ripped out of our communities through the prohibition and various acts over the last 100 or 200 years, the banning of the potlatch ceremonies out here and the kind of restriction of the powwows across the country. And so this was a chance for us to eat, harvest, celebrate, dance, and of course, grapple with colonialism.
So when Will had approached me about coming to be involved in this project, it was the very first time that I had ever heard of non-indigenous people, settlers, wanting to come together to volunteer their time to come together a couple of times a week with theater as the vehicle to explore Indigenous issues in this country, which, I mean, probably isn't something you think is going to be extremely fun.
One of the principles that we really stuck with, and Crystal was so gentle and yet firm in her insistence that we not look into stories about what other people did or other people do. It was always grounded in personal understanding, our own lived histories, and really our own learning.
Something that Peter said about not silencing voices, I think this is something to consider about when we think of reconciliation, that it's not only right now, but it's for our ancestors, it's for our relations, it's for our future generations as well.
Where are you from?
I was born in Surrey. My ancestors are multiple generations from Japan and from Asia, I think.
When we think about collaboration, we often perform something, performing a kind of a way of being with each other, right? The things that are underneath, the vulnerabilities, the easily breakable parts of ourselves, which are also coming into play when we collaborate with each other, especially globally, it's a very important thing to consider, right? And what happens when one false step, if we don't treat ourselves with kindness, right? And we have one false step, then everything breaks.
have. Okay, so introduce this one, and then let's change you to different materials.
So
you can use that one. So introduce that. Which way do you want to start?
Yeah.
You're on it. You're doing a great job on staying to your guidelines. How are you doing, Hendrik?
I need to add another
You have. Okay, so introduce this one, and then let's change you to different materials.
So
you can use that one. So introduce that. Which way do you want to start?
Yeah.
You're on it. You're doing a great job on staying to your guidelines. How are you doing, Hendrik?
With the very social nature of this work, how does your team undertake self-care while achieving your goals?
I think if you can set up a space where it's really safe for people to disagree, which I think is essential to have a real dialogue about anything, then you can get into going, oh, well, this is this person's answer. Are there any different kinds of answers to this answer?
Okay, everyone say Hoth. Hoth. Squile.
Squile.
Hoth means good and Squile means the day. Okay? So Hoth Squile. That's in Squamish Meacham. It's Squamish language. So Hoth Squile. Hoth Squile. Good job.
And I went to the site last night to do some watering, and I stood around all of these lupins and iris in full bloom, and I wept with tears of joy for recognizing the importance of the work that's happening, and having my eyes opened again to how important and valuable and necessary what all of us are doing, and that when we can come together like this, what we're building.
When we opened, we asked our ancestors to be here, and we want to close that door off and send you in a good way. Quan Tsleil-waututh and Secwepemul'ecw. Quan Tsleil-waututh and Secwepemul'ecw. Arts. Just asking our ancestors, that letting them know that you're making your journey on now from our lands here, and that you're going to continue on the good work, and ask for that blessing for you today to continue this important work.
So this is your song, and hold it with you as we travel this sacred land. Oh, Mother Earth, I come to sit with you. Oh, Mother Earth, I come to sit with you. Sit with you and pray for your healing.
I am Priscilla from the Wet'suwet'en territory. I'm a devoted mom and a member of the downtown Eastside. I have a gift here for the travelers through these land friends. There's 15 of them, and I just want whoever's on the train to maybe light them up in the evening to honor and acknowledge the Aboriginal women, the Aboriginal men, all men and women who passed on. Just to acknowledge and to, I guess, to start a new beginning.
what we do as a people when we travel. When we travel to other villages in our canoes, we carry medicine to share. We carry a light heart. We carry what is called Gioxsan. We carry that in our canoe.
Thank you, Uncoastal Salish Territory. Thank you to all our hosts. And as somebody said, we're going, not the same people who came, and thank you for that. And as we hit the tracks across the country, may we arrive in a different place than we left from.
And I'm so grateful for the beautiful work that happened yesterday. And I really hold my hands up to you because I want to thank you for showing us how it's done, for showing us how to be good guests. And I don't know if people really were aware of how profound that was, of how we can walk in a way that is in a good way. And you really showed that to us yesterday.
Just listen to where they come from. Because of residential school, because of dislocation to land, because of the economics taken away from us, our lived memory of on the waters, you know, these stories that I've heard, that we had to contend with in finding and maintaining our connection to these things that have been taken from us. So in the projects that the Vancouver Movie Theatre and that we've done in our collaborations has been about those things.
There was always time for tea. There was always time for laughter. There was always time for telling stories. And without me even knowing I was learning, I would sit at the table, just sit and listen. If you ever have the opportunity to sit and listen to somebody that has knowledge to pass on, don't ever pass up that opportunity, because you never know when that opportunity will be gone.
What a rich group, doing really good work, and I think all of you are doing transformational work in terms of transforming people's understandings of where we stand, of who we are, of who our hosts are, who our neighbors are.